three of these characters share one thing that puts them ahead of everybody else. They can destroy weapons.
From the time I was young, I knew this day would come. Mama, she said, son, you'll always be on the road. Your daddy was a man people wanted dead. Now that storm's coming for you, a price hanging on your head.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binaries. One of these days I'm going to be shaved completely clean. My name is Barbara, and today we're going to be tackling part 3 of this Arkham trilogy. I wasn't expecting it to be. Part 1 was just me talking about improvements I would make in gameplay-wise to Arkham Knight. Part 2, I dragged Pharrow in to improve already established elements for Arkham Knight. And Part 3 is the expandification. If we were not complete evil dickwads like WB and gave Arkham Knight all the time it needed to help do what it needed to do, what would we do to lend a hand in that department? And I think what I'm actually going to do to start the video is I'm actually going to get a very quick, top 3 or 5 gameplay changes that Pharrow would like to see. But if all of the changes he would like to see are the same as mine, then that's just a footnote. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we are here doing the lovely recording thingamajiggy. And we decided to do something a little bit different in that we are going to focus the first hour on gameplay, right?
Yes. That's correct.
Because this is a trilogy and we decided let's Dark Knight Rises the hell out of this thing.
Yeah.
So gameplay-wise, I've already talked about this a little bit, but I have considered some tweaks to the enemies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I have to say is stuff you've mainly covered. I just have my own 2 cents I like to throw at things, but for now I'll let you take the reins since this is your baby.
Yes. So, if you saw the top 10 video, I proposed several sweeping gameplay changes to make things more, shall we say, interesting. In the sense of more enemy archetypes. I'm shocked that this game has fewer enemy archetypes than in Arkham City, which is bizarre to me. Arkham Origins is still the king of challenges, apparently.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I can understand certain things being cut, we're replacing the sonic battering with a voice synthesizer. Makes sense. More advanced enemy, more advanced tactics to take it down. Or lure them around. But, why are there no thermal vision goggles? What the hell happened to the martial artist enemy archetype? Where is the armored... the armored enemy is effectively the enforcer, which also doubles as the lieutenant archetype, so that kind of compressing kind of makes sense. But, there's options here, and you can even do brand new enemy archetypes. I don't know, immediately off the top of my head, staff users or something? The point is that something new. More than just the medics, because while the medics are great, they themselves cannot carry a new enemy archetype alone,
Yeah. And I've always been of the sort of philosophy and belief that since Bane is kind of off doing his own thing, why not bring Venom thugs back in some capacity working for someone else?
Black Mask, Penguin. Penguin got his hands on the Titan formula at one point, so...
Yeah. And more than that, you said that compression makes sense, but it could also just be a case... They could have also done a case of certain factions have exclusive types, like the Arkham Knight's army has armored enemies, and, street criminals have thugs.
Yeah, have the bigger, heavier dudes. And I do kind of like that the Arkham Knight's lieutenants, they're the big guys, but you could tell a lieutenant is scary when he starts being able to switch his weapons on the fly. And that's unique to the Arkham Knight militia, but that's one subset of one enemy archetype. And they even ended up bringing medics to normal thugs in the Batgirl DLC, so...
Yeah, that's a little curious.
It's weird.
Yeah.
A
lot of this game is weird, as we've established.
Yeah, mostly because there's just too damn much is trying to do at once, and at the same time it ends up suffering. Damn you, time scales.
Yeah.
Also, did you know that the game was originally supposed to come out in November of 2014?
I did not. I think you may have mentioned something about that at one point, but yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out November of 2014. Then it got delayed to 2015 sometime, and then we got the new release date of June 2015. When it's very clear, at least to me, the game could have stood to get polished for at least another year. Because they wanted the Season of Infamy stuff to be incorporated into the main game, and very clearly, a lot of stuff was rushed.
Yeah.
And one of them being the combat and the stealth things, like not having enough that is unique about them, at least in my personal opinion. And they spent way too much time on the Batmobile.
Yeah, I can feel that. That's something I can agree with. The game definitely could have used a little more polish around the edges. But, big publishers want to get the games out quickly to make their return on investment.
Indeed. Which, I mean, I can understand that if it's a riskier game, but at the same time, it's a Batman Arkham game. It's gonna sell.
Yeah.
Speaking of gameplay improvements, throw a couple of your double pennies at me. What do you got?
Yeah. So one of your top twos that you mentioned that you'd like to see improved was free roam for everyone, and that's actually my number one, is everyone getting free roam. And in your video, you mentioned that even though some people wouldn't get access to the Batmobile, obviously, it would still be cool to free roam as them. And that got me thinking, well, they may not be able to get the Batmobile, but maybe they have a vehicle of their own. Like, Jason Todd can get a frickin' souped-up muscle car, Nightwing can get a motorcycle or something. Just little things to give them their own unique free roam vehicle. And although obviously some of these vehicles wouldn't be able to do the combat challenges, or most of them realistically, they would. It's like most of the Batmobiles can't either, so what's the big deal?
Exactly, and plus those Batmobiles can still be used in races, so...
Yeah.
Which now gets me to thinking about a fun little mode they could have done if they were ever to do this, which would be a Batman Arkham racing game. I mean, if you're going to sell the Batmobile, you might as well sell it hard, right?
Batman Arkham Nitro. That's fantastic. Get on it, WB. Get us a Batman racing game.
Gotham City Garage, anyone?
Gotham City Garage.
The fact that that's actually a comic run, too, it's like, man, there's potential here. Oh, well.
By the way, if this becomes a game after this episode is released, we want royalties.
We will take 3% of all profits each.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're the Batwheels crew, then we'll take 1.5% because you guys deserve a little extra because you're doing Batwheels.
Yeah.
Anyway, other gameplay things that I'm thinking about, because the main things that I would think about if we're going to follow the free roam route is just making free roam more accessible for each of the characters, because Harley doesn't have a way to vertically ascend buildings outside of climbing. That's going to make free roam for her extremely limited.
Yeah.
And everybody else has a grapnel or a way to climb like Catwoman, so that would be the first thing I would do, is potentially expanding Harley's moveset considerably.
Yeah, and I feel like hers is pretty easy. I mean, there's an entire section in the main game where she breaks into the Batcave, so maybe she just steals a freaking grapnel gun.
Well, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League pretty much confirms that idea, so...
Yeah. She steals a grapnel gun and just personalizes it.
Indeed. And, her animations can be wild and flailing because she's not used to getting zooped around.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, there's all these problems, but I feel like they're pretty easy to iron out.
Exactly.
And in terms of making free roam more accessible, and in my personal interest, making it more interesting, maybe they could incorporate like a day-night cycle sort of thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like that. Just hey, Gotham is done and everything, and now you get a Gotham in a time loop to play with, or whatever reason you could conjure up that you're running around Gotham in the middle of the day as Batman.
I mean, obviously, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but hey, it'd be cool. I mean, I always enjoy seeing Batman out during broad daylight.
I mean, this series in general takes a lot of inspiration from No Man's Land already, so...
Yeah. And in terms of making it more accessible, maybe there are certain, like, I don't know, side missions, I guess is the best way to put it, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm trying to think I can't think of the best way to put it, but, like, maybe certain events are exclusive to certain characters in their free roam.
Character-specific challenges?
Yeah.
Okay, I could get behind that.
Built into the free roam map.
I mean, if Catwoman and Batman can have an exclusive combat challenge where they have to beat up robots, then why can't Harley?
Yeah.
As much as you hate beating up robots, you know what I mean.
I didn't hate beating up robots, I just hate that they belong to Riddler.
That's fair. Good turn, slide down now. So, that's one thing. So, if we're going to have the free roam opening, that's pretty much all we would really need to do. Is just, because Batman can access various challenges during the story, like actual like combat challenges and such. So why can't other characters access their specific ones, like Psychiatrics for Harley or Cat's Conundrum for Catwoman, and so on?
Yeah.
And speaking of expanding movesets, I would be more than happy to do that with Harley. Because in my Arkham Knight tier list video, I put her down in the D tier. This poor woman needs some help.
Yeah, I remember you saying as much, that she's probably one of the worst characters in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, she still has the tools she needs to succeed, but especially for Predator challenges, she is a real pain in the ass. So, I do like that while her smoke bomb does not last very long and doesn't cover a lot of range, it's the only one that recovers on all maps. Whereas with Batman and Azrael and other characters that have a smoke pellet, it only recovers from a cooldown if it's outside. Which is an odd stipulation, but I think it's just because of the nature of those particular challenges.
Right.
Anywho, everybody having a smoke pellet would be nice. I'm surprised that, Robin had one in Arkham City, and I don't think he has one in Arkham Knight. Which seems a little bit strange to me. Also, a lot of the DLC characters have only one special combo move, and that's the instant takedown. Which seems a little bit silly, because Batman has 3, Robin has 3, Nightwing has 3, Catwoman has 3, but all the DLC characters only have 1. Oh wait, Batgirl has 2, but that's because she got the ability to disarm and destroy weapons in an update.
Right.
So, what would we do for Harley specifically? Because I know she's one of your favorite characters. For Harley specifically, what could we do for her that would fit her character as a special combo move? Like, you get to ×5, or every 5 successful hits in a combo, you get this move, like your instant takedowns.
That is a fantastic question. Honestly, my mind just goes to her going a bit crazy with her mallet or baseball bat.
Group attack. That could work.
Yeah.
Like, she grabs her bat and just starts swinging around crazily. That works.
Like, maybe not even that, but like, when you get to 5 hits in a combo, she just pulls out her bat, and instead of instant takedowns, she just starts getting new attacks that do more damage.
Ah, see, that That almost makes me immediately think about Batman, Robin, and Nightwing and Azrael are capable of stealing bats from people and using them as weapons. So why can't Harley use the bat as a primary weapon as a temporary power-up?
Yeah.
So, and speaking of which, let's let Harley weaponize bats. Just random bats that she can pick up off the ground.
Absolutely.
Because weirdly enough, Catwoman can't do that. Except there's a fun little glitch that you can do with that. That leads me to believe that she was supposed to be able to do that, but they removed that ability in the game. Batgirl can't use bats, and Red Hood can't use bats. I mean, he's got guns, so that's whatever. But if Nightwing can use sticks and a bat, so can Red Hood, damn it.
Yeah.
And I think...
And you can also give guns to Harley, like give her less powerful pistols.
Silly pistols that knock enemies down, like riot guns?
Yeah.
Okay, I can get behind that. And that would make for, like, a fantastic third special move, where it's like, it can be her version of the special combo ground takedown, where she knocks down multiple enemies and then does it. She instantly knocks out any enemies on the floor.
Yeah.
Nice. I think what I would give Batgirl is... she doesn't have a X plus circle move, so why not give her the Bat Swarm from Arkham City and Arkham Origins, where a cloud of bats swoop around, and they could even be like little bat drones instead for flavor. And they would stun enemies in a crowd and give her a chance to attack.
I can get behind that.
Because, I mean, it was one of my favorite things about Arkham City and Arkham Origins, just summon a cloud of bats to attack your enemies! And in this case, make it for Batgirl prototype drones or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
And as for our boy Red Hood, how is it that he's not able to destroy weapons? He's Hedge! If anybody should be able to hold a car door with his boot, it should be that guy.
Yeah, it's a little silly.
And what about... I mean, Harley has this thing where if she gets hit enough or she does enough instant takedowns, she gets a crazy powered-up mode where all of her attacks are instant takedowns, which I believe is inspired by the shock gloves that Batman used in Arkham Origins. So why not give Jason, I don't know, Lazarus Rage or something, which is functionally similar, but like the electric shock gloves, they don't instantly knock enemies out, but it increases your normal strike damage, so they're times 2, and your crit attacks are times 3, and allows you to punch through doors and other usually unblockable enemies.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
For a short
Plus,
time.
it gives me the entire concept of, like, Lazarus enhanced zombie strength that is kind of a thing sometimes.
Depends on how the comics feel.
Yeah. Depends on the writer if someone who's resurrected by the Lazarus Pit gets enhanced abilities.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, we're not going to give him Lazarus fart jumps, so we're good to go.
Oh, Lazarus fart jumps. I've never heard it put that way, but yeah, that's about what it is.
We're not fans of Gotham Knights, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Anyhoodle, so that's most of like the character specific. Oh, wait a minute. If we're going to talk about character specific improvements, let's talk about Azrael.
Oh yeah.
AKA Christian Batman, and I'll let you have the stage for this one.
Well, I really only have one thing to say. Let him use his fucking sword.
Sword of Sorrows, people.
That's about all I have to say is let the man use his sword.
I'm down. Let the man use his sword. I mean, you could even steal the moves and animations from when Batman used his sword in Arkham City. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Because I would totally be down for that. Now the question is do you want the more traditional sword or like the extendable gauntlet sword blade that he had in Arkham City?
I'd say the traditional sword.
Okay. just because it offers something a little more unique than a fisty weapon.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Carve enemies up. Really milk that M rating if you're playing as Azrael, I suppose.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one. That's so funny. Like, that's such a silly, dumb thing, but I'm here for that. What else?
Plus, it could offer up some unique animations, like how Batman and Co. just, like, pull vents off and crawl into them. You could, like, use the sword to wedge vents off.
Oh, see, that would work. And because of Azrael's enhanced strength from the Order of St. Dumas, we can pull a Deathstroke. Deathstroke in Arkham Origins, he has enhanced strength, so when he rips vents off the wall, it's not only super fast, but it's one button tap. You grab a vent, push the X or A button, and he just yeets the thing off.
That's curious.
And also, interestingly, Deathstroke in Arkham Origins actually has a healing factor. So if if his damage is cut below, like, the armored part of his health and it's his main health that gets damaged, that can actually heal back if he's given time to rest. But that's a thing unique to Deathstroke in Arkham Origins, so...
That's curious.
Curious, yeah. But it shows that the fellows over at WB Games Montreal know how to make a character unique, even if they're reusing a ton of assets. Like, a lot of... Deathstroke is basically a buffer Robin, like Tim Drake Robin, with what he uses in combat and such. But he has enough unique animations and tricks and gimmicks to make him different from Robin and his own distinct character. So that's kind of the approach I wanted to take with Azrael.
Yeah.
So,
Batman with a sword.
Batman with a sword, pretty much, and some freaky Order St. Dumas nonsense. Like, I would love it if there was, like, some sort of weird, subtle energy thing that connected the tassels of his cape when he glid, so it would at least make sense of how he's able to glide.
That would be interesting.
Add a little extra mysticism to the world of Batman. That isn't coming from an angry former Robin with guns.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what would Azrael's vehicle be? The Pope-mobile?
The Pope-mobile? Not where my mind was going. No, he rides across like it's the Silver Surfer's surfboard.
Oh, wait, no, you know what would actually be sick, though?
What's that?
What if he had a horse? I'm not even kidding. What if we really lean into this and give Azrael a horse?
I mean, that would be different. That would be different.
And for those who are asking, well, why would we give him a horse over a car? Well, one, you could pet the damn horse.
Yeah.
And two...
I guess you'll run people over with the horse.
Yep, the horse will help you in combat.
You know what? Fuck it. Give Azrael a horse.
Hashtag give Azrael a horse.
Hashtag Horsegate. God.
Oh, jeez. God. That's so funny. Okay, here's another thing that I really think would be kind of cool. If it was somehow able to be done as like a map expansion for free roam, what if you could go back and visit Arkham Asylum?
Ooh,
the entirety of Arkham Asylum. Because, fun fact, the Gotham City you explore in Arkham Knight is 5 times larger than the map of Arkham City, which is in itself supposed to be 5 times larger than it is for Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
By the
I can absolutely get behind that.
Yeah.
And to kind of build off of that, one of the things I love about Batman Arkham Knight is the map. It's a huge map, and it's Gotham City. You get to freaking fly around Gotham City, pretty much. But I would love it if the map could allow you to visit other locations, like Arkham's, like Lithium Asylum and Wayne Manor. That'd be cool.
Maybe you could even visit the mainland once the main story is done. Or at least a chunk of the mainland as people are funneling back in.
Maybe, but my main request would be allow you to visit Wayne Manor in the Batcave.
Ah, yes. Or It could be a case where you visit the asylum, and then you can visit the asylum's Batcave too if you really wanted to. And then if you go to Wayne Manor, you have the entirety of Wayne Manor, and you have the entirety of the Batcave to explore.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine that between the manor, the manor itself, the manor grounds, and the Batcave, that would be about the same size as Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. And to go back to an earlier point that I had of like a gameplay mechanic that I would like to see implemented, a more streamlined outfit switcher. That could be what the Batcave is used for. You can switch your outfits at the Batcave.
That makes perfect sense. You go to your cabinet, you pick your costume, and away you go.
Yeah. That way you don't have to leave the game in order to change your suit.
Yeah,
which is always one of my biggest pet peeves about the game.
Yeah. Like, and even the older Arkham games kind of half-ass this, where it's like you pick your suit at the beginning, and then you'd have to leave and then go back if you're doing free roam. Whereas with a combat challenge, you beat the challenge, you go back, and then you can switch your skins from there. But there's no, like, switching on the fly sort of thing.
Yeah. Spider-Man really did it well, where you could just switch whenever the fuck you wanted.
Indubitably. Hang on a second. What's up? No, he was down here last time, so he's probably in my room. I do not mind. What was I thinking? Thinking of something. Oh yeah, outfit switching, yes. Spider-Man PS4 did it the best. Just like, you know what? Just switch on the fly.
Yeah.
You know what would be funny, actually? If you could switch your outfits on the fly, but you have to organize a suit drop, and you get a little bit of a chatter with Alfred or whoever, be like, "Who's dropping the suit off now, sir?"
That would actually be pretty cool. I do like that. Maybe that's something you could, like, I don't know, maybe not necessarily unlock, but it's just something that you can get later. Like, if you don't feel like going back to the Batcave to switch, you can then call in a suit drop.
Exactly. And then you can pick anywhere in Gotham City to set up the suit drop, and then after, I don't know, a minute or two or whatever, the suit gets dropped off, and then boom.
I'd love it if there was, like, some flavor. Like, if you were really close to a Batcave when you ordered a suit drop, it's like, well, you could have just popped inside, but I suppose this will do.
Exactly. And for Harley and Catwoman, their outfit switcher would be Catwoman's apartment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So we've talked about how we would flesh out the current roster and make things a little bit bigger. But you know what's a really good way to make a game bigger?
How's that?
Adding more characters.
Oh, the segue! I love the segue!
And not a bad segue, too, if I do say so myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so very quickly we're going to talk a little bit more about characters, because we mentioned it a couple of times in the story improvement video, where, you know, Stephanie Brown was going to make her debut in the Tim Drake story and stuff, so...
Yeah.
We're not going to spend too much time, because it's already a half hour, and, you know, I could easily just make the move list as I go. I've already done it for, like, Black Canary and Cassandra Kane, but...
Yeah.
Why don't we start off with Stephanie Brown?
Yeah. Ms. Spoiler.
Indeed. And the reason why we're calling her Spoiler at this point is because, you know, we are also assuming that Clue Master still exists.
Yes.
So, how do we make her different from Babs Girl? And more keenly, how do we kind of integrate her into the Arkham Knight style of things?
That is a good question, and this is more your domain, so I'm going to let you take the reins on this.
Okay, so an idea that I had, also going off of calling in drops and such, is each character has a specific drop voice. So, well, not every character, but like a group of characters would. So Batman, Azrael, Robin, or Batman, Azrael, and Robin would, or Batman, Nightwing, and Robin would get suit drops from Alfred, for instance.
Yeah.
Whereas Azrael and Red Hood could get their quote-unquote suit drops from somebody else. I'm currently leaning towards Oracle, but I'm open to suggestions. But Stephanie Brown would get her suit switches from Oracle herself. Same with, spoiler alert, Cassandra, Kane, and Black Canary.
Yeah. For Red Hood, since he's still an outlaw and not necessarily probably on the best terms with the Bat family because he kidnapped one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe his suit drops come in courtesy of the info broker he hired.
Calculator?
Yeah.
That works. Yeah, it works.
Just a little more excuse to get Noah some more love.
I don't blame you for that at all. Plus, I would love to see the snarkiness of, like, asking for suit drops after what happens in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Like, you've already switched sides on me, you bastard! Stop asking me for stuff!
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna charge you premium for this.
Good. Your tab is doubled. Your tab is doubled specifically for this. But going back to Stephanie Brown / spoiler specifically, when she was a vigilante, one of the things is that she actually had 2 signature weapons for a little bit. She had a staff, but she also had like a 3-chunk semi-staff nunchuck hybrid thing. And I think that would be a way cooler signature weapon for her to have. Would be like basically super nunchucks.
Well, I mean, she could have her staff that breaks into that.
That works. I mean, that makes perfect sense. You have the staff, and then you would break it into the chain thing for specific attacks and counters and things.
Yeah.
As for gadgets, this would be her pretty early on. I don't imagine she'd probably have a Batarang for a basic thing. And most of the DLC characters have 3 gadgets. So we're going to kind of start from there. So I'm thinking a throwable, a smoke bomb, and some kind of snap flash equivalent.
Yeah.
She can't blow stuff. She doesn't have the storage space to have explosive gel, so she can't blow stuff up. But she can use snap flashes in crowds, and she has access to smoke bombs too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As for special combo moves, the instant takedown is still going to be a thing. I think because she's kind of a streetwise, she's relatively streetwise for a college girl, because she lives in Gotham. I think she should be able to weaponize things as well. And I think it would be really cool if she was a thinker and she could actually weaponize more weapons than other characters can. Because melee weapons that are available to thugs are like batons, knives, shields, stun batons, and things that can be thrown at you. What if she was also able to use stun batons and shields as weapons? Just steal them right off of enemies.
That could work. But also, I don't want to interrupt the flow or anything, but it made me think of what we were doing with Harley, and it made me wonder, well, we have her able to just pick up bats and use them. Well, what if she was like a thug and just could pick up any weapon on the ground and start using them?
That works. Like, I mean, that makes sense, because pick up a stun baton, pick up a knife.
The environment is Harley's gadget, and same with Stephanie Brown, apparently.
Yes.
The environment is their gadget.
Yep. No shame in using the weapon against your enemy, or the environment against your enemies. That's literally one of the key parts of combat.
Yeah.
And for Predator challenges, she should get the inverted takedown, but she should do it kind of sloppy, because, she's still getting the hang of it. Silent takedowns take a little longer for her, but she has pretty fast takedown smashes.
Yeah.
And then with her snap flash gadgets, she can kind of do the same thing as Tim Drake Robin can, where she sets up a lot of takedown opportunities to take down multiple enemies in pretty quick succession.
I can get behind that.
So a boiled down Batgirl Robin hybrid. That's Stephanie Brown, TLDR.
Yeah.
Now, is there anybody you would like to add? Because I've got 2 more, so if we go back and forth on this.
Yeah, and you kind of spoiled who they were.
I can't help it. I'm excited for these guys.
I know. Anyone I would love to add? This one may be a little bit out there, but we have 2 out of 3 Gotham City Sirens playable.
Yeah.
Why not go 3 for 3?
Ooh, bring Ivy back from the dead.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have the idea for that in our Siren story.
Yeah, and then go back and watch that one. So, but, right at the end, Ivy helps save them, so why not have Ivy be a playable character? And you get a taste of that power at the end of the story.
Yeah. Like, have all 3 of the Gotham City Sirens playable, and Ivy would just be the most batshit unique of all of them.
Batshit unique is right, and I think horrifyingly powerful, too. Because the idea that Poison Ivy is one of the most terrifying rogues in Gotham City is sold incredibly well in the Arkham series.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even for her relatively light cameo appearance in Arkham City, she tears open the vault to the Tiger Vault for Catwoman to get inside, which she was considering asking Killer Croc to do, which kind of gives you an idea as to how beefy Ivy is, or at least her plans are.
Yeah.
Which then...
So I say make Ivy playable, and don't do a case of the meme of, oh, the boss when you fight them, the boss when you unlock them as a playable character. No, I say let Ivy be that powerful.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I can picture so many things that we could do with Ivy, because we're talking about a woman capable of commanding the entire Floral Kingdom. There's tons of what you can do. Like, besides combat and the usual stuff, she could be the only character that can counter shields, or that can counter shields just naturally, and she's capable of actually hurting brutes with her counters by calling a plant to lend a hand. And I think she won't be able to weaponize weapons, but she won't need to, because she'll be the only character in Arkham Knight with not 1, not 2, but 4 special combo moves.
Hell yeah.
She has the takedown, which is kind of standard. She has the disarm and destroy, which I think for flavor, she can do at range. Have a vine destroy the weapon for her at a ludicrous range.
Yeah.
A unique take command move, which lets Ivy bewitch an enemy and have them fight at her side.
Yeah.
Because naturally. And I'm torn between this being I can just combine the 2 of them, because in Arkham Origins, Vigilante Bruce Wayne, or In Training Bruce Wayne, has a move called the Kujiki Bomb, which if he throws a Kujiki Bomb down in combat and then pushes the triangle button, he does a shuriken multi-throw that hurts multiple enemies and knocks out any enemies on the ground. It's basically a better version of the Batarang multi-ground takedown. So what if Ivy has something like that, but with her plants?
I mean, why not?
Right? And maybe she can get dirty up close, but a lot of her fight range comes from using her plants. Like, she'll have a vine trap move, she'll have a standard projectile, she could release a cloud of spores and acts as her smoke bomb. That regenerates over time. And if we can really go crazy with the gadgets here, I'm thinking like the vine can restrain from the legs down, so you could potentially still get shot. But then she also has like a nectar ball that she throws at people that gets them all sticky and stuck, like a ball of sap. There's she could even have like after she can almost have like a shock glove equivalent where she armors up in like bark form, and if an enemy tries to hit her, they take damage because they're punching a tree.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yeah, her movements are slower, and she can't evade anymore. But who cares when you are bulletproof?
Yeah.
And finally, penultimately, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if we're thinking about all the gadgets Batman has, an electric gun, many different forms of batarangs, explosive gel. Oh, for an explosive gel equivalent, she could just put like a little flower on a wall, and then snap her fingers, and the flower just rapidly grows and destroys the wall.
I love it.
Just saying, there's a whole ton of things you can do, and if you manage to And I think what would be really cool is if she had a unique gadget, which kind of acts as a slow recovering gadget version of her bewitching move, where she can sneak up on an enemy, bewitch them, and then have them just go on patrol as normal. But then when she snaps her fingers, they go on the attack.
Yeah.
This would not work on brutes just because it would take too long, but she could still beat up a brute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ivy, I'm glad that you picked her, because I'm like, wow, there's so many options we could do for her.
Absolutely.
Speaking of options, let's talk about Cassandra Kane, Batgirl. Now, Cassandra Kane, as I've said before, I have actually done a potential moveset for her before. So, some of the things that I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to reference from that. But one of her things is that if she's going to have like a shock glove style power-up where it just builds up over time, she'll activate it and she will automatically counter any attacks that come at her. Like her body reading ability kicks in.
Yeah.
Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna try and crack this open and take a look, because I have my tablet here conveniently enough. So if I can, Cassandra Kane. There we go. Okay, Cassandra Kane profile. Let's see. Down here. Thing, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, she would have explosive gel as well, because that's fun. She would weapon steal. She has, yeah, that's Shiva's instincts. While this meter is full, Cass can enter a focus state by clicking both sticks. All of her strikes will become beatdown attacks, ignoring all weapons. Cass will automatically counter any attacks coming her way while the meter drains, and her combo meter also does not go away for its duration. After 4 auto counters or 4 beatdowns, or after 12 seconds, this is drained. We gave her the Bat Swarm. She also gets a cool stance where she basically becomes invisible, and then can use fear takedowns in this state.
I can dig it.
So I'm picturing like a fear takedown in the middle of combat. Oh yeah, and she also gets access to the glue grenade. Because why not?
Of course she does.
And free flow focus counter. Cassandra Kane can use her free flow focus, like when you get to times 5, instead of using it on a gadget, you use it on her counter, so that she could counter a stun baton or shield enemy, or perfectly evade gunfire with the triangle button. These counters automatically trigger during Shiva's instincts at no cost or free flow focus, because of course not. And then for Predator stuff, because we've neglected, we kind of talked about it a little bit with Ivy, where she's able to bewitch people and set up traps and stuff.
Yeah.
Cass can run completely silently like Catwoman. She has all the universal takedowns and the shared takedowns. Oh yeah, and she can use Shadow Stance like the Kujiki Bombs in Predator challenges. When Bruce Wayne uses the Kujiki Bombs in Arkham Origins in a Predator challenge, he's literally undetectable while he's got a pink aura around him. Literally, even as he's running, staring at and running towards a bad guy. They don't detect him.
That's a little silly, but okay.
Well, you only get to use 3 of them per challenge, so. But that just makes me giggle. So yeah, basically, make Cass Batman but better.
Okay.
So who's next on your end?
Well, not a lot comes to mind. There's just a couple of characters I can think of that would be cute, maybe. But I don't know. Like, just for shits and giggles, threw him into Red Hood's suit drop-off by Calculator in his purple suit.
Okay, I'd be down to try and experiment with another playable villain. So, refresh us.
I think he should be the most gadget-heavy character in the game.
I suppose that would make sense, because what's his shtick? He's able to press a button on his suit and it becomes a gadget for him?
Kind of. I think he more like taps in a specific combination and it gives him a certain gadget.
Okay. So we can work that in.
And then you can remote control them with said control panel.
Okay, so that gives us an avenue for stealth at the very least, where when you select a thing, where you're in your gadget wheel selecting your gadget, which would probably be as extensive, if not more extensive than Batman's, he would pick the gadget and then just as flavor, tip, tip, tap, and then grab said gadget.
Yeah.
Whereas in combat, for quick fire, I would like to imagine that he kind of has specific buttons for the quick fire versions of his basic projectile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's quickly run through, I'm going to very quickly run through what Batman has for gadgets, and we'll see what we want to keep and what we want to turf for Calculator.
I mean, just as a thought, for quick fire, he could have, like, Jim Carrey's Power Glove from frickin' Sonic the Hedgehog.
Where it's a... Refresh me, what does that do?
Basically it allows him to remote control his robots without, like, with just the gloves on his hands.
Okay. Okay, that leads me to think that he would be able to summon robot assistants.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a good visual representation of the gloves. You just keep going while I search.
Okay, so I'll quickly run through Batman's gadget pool, and then we'll see what equivalents we can find for Calc. He's got standard projectiles, which he fires 3 of. Some characters fire 1 at a time and can fire multiples, like 1, 2, 3, or others can just release 1. But with Batman, it's 3 batarangs for a standard projectile. He has explosive gel, which can be quick fired to stun a small group of enemies. He has the freeze blast, which comes in 2 flavors, a full freeze and a half freeze. He has the remote electric charge. He has the bat claw. He has the voice synthesizer, the remote hacking device, which that's just a given for Calculator. Let's see what else does he have. Smoke pellets, and technically he could control the Batmobile, but that's not applicable to challenges. And I think that's it. I can't really think of anything else that I'm immediately missing. Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, I can kind of dig that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I ran through them, and I think most of these gadgets can be kept in some form or another, like an electric blast or an explosive pellet / explosive applicator for blowing up walls. The remote hacking device is a must.
Yeah.
I would also like to, just for flavor's sake, have him and Barbara be able to hack more things than anybody else.
That'd be good. I can agree with that.
Because right now, the remote hacking device can blind drones, take control of certain drones, set off alarms, and set off certain things to explode. But what if there were sub-functions that only Barbara and Calculator could do?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Plus, I thought for a bat claw equivalent, doesn't he have like a really large like crane claw thing that comes out of his suit?
Yeah, that was specifically for his fight against the Justice League in the comics, but yeah, he does have like a pseudo Doc Ock style arm that can protrude from his suit.
That would be a great bat claw equivalent. Send it out to grab somebody and yeet them towards him.
Or just yeet them away.
Yeah. Oh, that would actually be really cool. If Calculator in a combat scenario doesn't actually like getting his hands dirty all that much.
Yeah, he lets his gadgets do the fighting for him.
Exactly. So he can build up his combos by hitting enemies that are close, but also making sure to use certain gadgets to keep them back. And I'm thinking, unlike Batman, who can't really switch back and forth between gadgets before he has to hit again, Calculator can. So he can throw somebody away, throw a batarang, throw somebody away, throw a batarang, and it would work more for his style.
Yeah.
But as the inverse, he doesn't really have a whole lot up close. Like, for the universal combat moves, they are slow, they're unrefined. He's not a physical fighter.
Yeah, no.
So that would be something to consider. And I think if we lean into the idea that maybe what if he makes the robots and Riddler steals them? Going a little bit into story mode.
Could do. I mean, he's smart enough.
So that would mean that maybe for a special combo move, he calls in a robot assistant to help him fight. And that robot and then he's controlling it with his gloves.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
What other kinds of gadgets would there be? Some sort of EMP blast for a special combo move that jams all firearm weapons.
Ooh, yeah, I can absolutely.
Okay. That's what I'm forgetting. I forgot about the Disruptor, which sucks because I love the Disruptor. So, what if, unlike Batman, he's able to quick-fire disrupt certain things?
Yeah, I can get behind that.
So, if he disrupts a stun baton and the stun baton tries to hit his suit, it actually backfires and knocks out the enemy. But he can do that in a quick-fire situation.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman has to set up and take aim.
I can get behind that, yeah. I'm still not thoroughly convinced on the robots. I mean, it would make more sense for Calculator to have them than the Riddler. But I don't know.
I'm just trying to make the gloves Catman robots thing work.
Well, I was just pitching the gloves as another method of how he controls his gadgets and stuff.
Oh, okay. So that's his quick fire gadget function then, is he does something with his hands.
Yeah.
Okay, then he doesn't need the robot assistance then.
Yeah. I'm just pitching the gloves because I thought they were cool in Sonic, and I was like, they kind of work with Calculator's gimmick.
Yeah, and I mean, he's smart enough to have a backup plan in case his primary method does not work.
Yeah.
So that would definitely work, and make him pretty gadget heavy would make sense. Smoke bomb that can recover, and bring back some other gadgets that Batman hasn't used. Like Batman used to have a flashbang in Arkham Origins, and that was only for him. But now Calculator has it.
Yeah.
And then half restraints and full restraints and other such things. Yeah, so Calculator is the epitome of, oh, you have a gadget, I have it too.
Yeah. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine.
Yeah, the only thing he does not have are the insta-kill dual handguns, and that's just because it's not fun.
Yeah. Plus, he's not really much of a gun guy.
Oh, can't imagine why. And finally...
If he didn't build it himself, it's not useful.
What?
If he didn't build it himself, it's not useful.
Something like that. So, finally, because they are in the Arkhamverse, I wanted to get a Bird of Prey representative in here. And who better than the original Bird of Prey alongside Oracle, Black Canary.
I can dig it.
And Black Canary has the shared moves, and she has, in combat, she has a special combo taunt takedown. Where she'll stand in place and taunt her enemies to come at her. Up to 5 opponents will come at her, and there will be a unique counter animation to take them out. The more enemies come at her, the faster they are. If medics are immune to the taunt, but this state lets her counter shield and baton enemies. If a gunman is coming to cancel, if a gunman tries to shoot you, you can evade to cancel that sequence and continue your combo. And your rewards get bigger, so times 10 for the first foe, times 20 for the second foe, times 50 for the third, times 100 for the fourth, and times 250 for the fifth.
Yeah.
And then we have the special combo Oracle Assist, because I couldn't resist. By pressing evade plus stun while free flow focus is full, Dinah calls on Barbara to neutralize all firearm and medic type equipment on the field for a short time, preventing medics from charging up enemies, permanently disabling firearms, and preventing militia brutes from switching weapons. Any enemies charged by a medic will also be immediately knocked out.
I love it.
So that's combo times 25 times the amount of the pieces of equipment that have been sabotaged.
Yeah. Oh, and I literally just thought of this, so again, sorry to interrupt the flow, but my brain works in mysterious ways.
That's
but
fine.
For Calculator's gloves, maybe his gloves are how he does his speedy hacks.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, the control panel on his chest is for his gadgets, but he uses his gloves for hacking.
That's brilliant. I really like that. And it would allow him to use his remote hacking device equivalent in a quick fire setting, which not even Barbara can do.
Yeah.
Pretty swish.
Because I was just watching the GIF that I sent of Eggman using his gloves in the movie. I saw the screen, and I was like,
Wait a
what
minute.
if that's how he uses his hacking tools?
That would make perfect sense. Anywho,
He just points at a gadget that he wants to hack, and then he just starts hacking it.
Yas, I love it. So, she also has, as a gadget and as a quickfire tool, her Canary Cry.
I was wondering when I was coming in, because, like, how are you going to have Black Canary and not give her sonic scream?
Exactly. The way it works a lot like it does in Injustice 2, where there are 3 levels that build up over time. So, if you have a level 1 cry, which you'll be able to see, a little meter for her Canary Cry, it'll just be like a stun. You're stunning an enemy, and that can allow you to go into a beatdown. At level 2, which charges up after 10 seconds, the cry will knock down most enemies in a narrow cone, but brutes and shield enemies will be able to block that. But at level 3, which is charged after 20 seconds, the cry is wide, capable of knocking out weakened enemies outright, and is completely unblockable.
Yep.
And
it's sick. You can't really, unless you're wearing super strong headphones, you can't really block that cry.
Well, and even then, at that point, the cry is more of a sonic wave, so you're getting hit by a pressure wave. Fun fact, actually, in the comics, Black Canary was able to stop a train with a low-frequency version of her Canary Cry.
Makes sense. It kind of reminds me of the LRAD, if you ever heard of that.
That's
a long-range acoustical device.
Yeah, that's a military/paramilitary device that uses sound waves as a weapon, right?
Yeah, for like riot suppression and all that.
Exactly.
It's like when I saw that, I immediately thought of like the sonic screech from comics. I was like, oh, so there is like actual basis for it.
Yeah. And then we have the Free Flow Focus Canary Cry, which, if she uses the Canary Cry during Free Flow Focus, the Cry's power goes up 1 level. And if you're wondering, yes, there's a level 4 Canary Cry that's accessible only by having a level 3 Canary Cry and Free Flow Focus. And what it does is all enemies in like a wall in front of Black Canary are knocked to the ground for 10 seconds. So you can go in, pick somebody up, get a beatdown done, and then potentially close out a round because she has access to the, or I think she has access to the multi-takedown. Does she have access to the multi-takedown? I don't think she does. Okay, see, if she had access to the special combo multi-ground takedown and she did that, that would instantly win a round for her.
I mean, pretty much. And it would kind of make sense for her to have it, too. She's a world-class martial artist.
That's true. Quickfire EMP grenade, throws a sticky device on an opponent. The attack, when it detonates, will neutralize electric charges, disable weapons, and render medics unable to charge enemies in the future, although they'll still be able to resuscitate fallen comrades. With Free Flow Focus, the grenade will shock opponents in a radius and drop them. Then she has throwing darts, which are her basic projectile, and if she has Free Flow Focus, the darts will pin opponents by their feet, preventing them from moving.
Ooh.
And then she has the Free Flow Focus counter, same as Cassandra Kane, and this isn't really a gameplay advantage thing, but she will quip during combat.
Yeah, makes sense. She's talkative.
Yep. And then for Predator stuff, she uses parkour to climb ledges, which is fine by me. She has equipped for the last takedown. She can take down up to 3 opponents in one motion to start her fear takedown. And she can actually sabotage certain pieces of equipment by sneaking up on enemies.
Right.
Because, you know,
I just had a thought for, like, vertical ascension assist. Is there any basis for her using her screech to propel herself?
I don't know, but I also don't particularly fancy this idea just because it's very noisy.
That's fair.
But I do kind of, I mean, if Sindel can hover herself in the air with a, well, Twindel at the very least, can hover herself in the air by screaming, why can't Dinah?
Yeah.
And do you have anybody else?
I mean, her super and Injustice 2 kind of gives that idea.
Oh yeah, that's true. So,
and again, Bane, Super and Injustice 2 also makes it seem like he can fucking fly.
He flies through the power of sick wrestling moves.
Yeah.
As long as he's able to do sick clotheslines and drop kicks and shit, he can sail across buildings. Oh, that's so goddamn silly.
He's in a single drop kick.
What?
He can leap tall buildings in a single drop kick.
Yes! Do you have anybody that you want to quickly do character points for, or do we jump right into the story? Because we are almost exactly on time.
Well, like I said, Calculator was just kind of my, I don't know, fuck it, throw this guy out there and then see what happens.
Okay.
So hop into the story.
Alright, perfect. We literally just got to story, like, less than 10 seconds after an hour, so we're right on time.
Hey.
So, this is more your domain, story stuff, so
Yeah.
go on ahead.
Yeah, and so we covered a lot of the things we would do to fix the story as it stands in Arkham Knight. So taking a chance to expand upon it and make it bigger and more fulfilling as a story. Not that they didn't create the best they could with what they had, I'm sure they did. But there's always room for improvement, and Arkham Knight is no exception.
Yep.
And I think with a lot of the world and gameplay expansion, that leaves a lot of room for story expansion, because obviously when you have a game, the game comes first. Now, there's ways around that, but for story, let's take a look, and I think one of the biggest avenues is making, like, incorporating the other Batcaves, because we have our Gotham City Batcave in the old theater or studio.
Yeah.
Which is like Batman's field office, I guess.
I suppose. It was.
Yeah.
I think he just kind of cobbled it together when he realized that people were still sick with the Joker toxin, so...
Yeah. And then there's his actual Batcave Prime, I'm going to call it, which is under Wayne Manor.
Yep.
And I feel like with the gameplay expansion, being able to visit these locations does offer up a lot more story, because I think if there's something we can agree on, someone who's criminally not utilized a lot of in the Arkham series, it's Alfred.
Yeah, like he was mostly support. Like he was Oracle's primary role in Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and for a large portion of Arkham Knight. That's about it.
Yeah. So just being able to visit Wayne Manor and Batcave Prime, that would probably open up a lot of story avenue with Alfred, which I feel like you kind of have to have. He is Batman's most important supporting character.
Yeah. And speaking on that, that's one thing that Arkham Origins does extremely well. You visit the Batcave and Alfred plays key parts in the story when it comes to like character development, and you can just talk to him whenever to talk updates that happened in the story. Like, after you defeat a major boss, you can talk to him about it.
Yeah. I feel like that's something you should be able to do in Arkham Knight, is visit the Batcave and visit Alfred and just talk.
Chew the fat a little bit.
Yeah.
And imagine if you could do that with every character.
Oh, yeah. You visit the Batcave as Red Hood.
Or, better yet, visit the Batcave as Harley Quinn.
I don't know, I feel like with what we discussed about when Arkham Knight stormed the Batcave and used that as the abduction of Oracle, and he kneecaps the guard who hurt Alfred. I feel like that'd be pretty interesting to have Red Hood then visit the Batcave and talk to Alfred.
I'm just picturing, like, look, I'm sorry about that one guy that tried to hurt you. If it's any consolation, I shot him in the knee. And Alfred's just like, well, I appreciate you standing up for me, Master Todd, but don't you think that's a little bit extreme?
It's like, yes, and just things like that. And then, of course, Harley visiting Batcave Prime.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm not sure how you got in here, but frankly, since you're not breaking anything, I'm going to allow it for the time being.
But the second you break something, you trigger a super secret, impossible to beat Alfred boss fight.
Yeah. He just pulls out a shotgun.
Just game over if you break something in the Batcave.
If you break something in the Batcave, and you're not a member of the Bat family, Alfred pulls out the shotgun.
Exactly.
This is my other broomstick.
And then you can even run into him in the manor itself if you're just exploring the manor.
Oh yeah, like he's just going about his day-to-day, keeping things tidy. That'd be nice.
Exactly. And you could also do wonderful environmental storytelling things with the other locations. See how decrepit and broken apart Arkham Asylum has been. And if you visit Arkham Asylum after the end of the main story, as Batman specifically, you follow a vine that has broken a wall in intensive treatment or wherever, like one of the first areas in the game, and then you realize this is where Joker has been keeping Jason Todd for a year.
Yeah. And you can even visit that place as Jason Todd.
Oh, yeah. And then, imagine...
Even for flavor, I can imagine, because even though Arkham vs. Harley is super dedicated to Joker, it's canon that one of the times Harley's relationship with the Joker got extremely rocky is when he killed Jason Todd.
Indeed. So I'm picturing...
That place as Harley, that could even lead to some...
potential future developments.
Yeah.
And I'm also... It would also be really cool if, like, just as a one-time switch thing, if you visit there as Batman first, Jason Todd shows up.
Ooh.
But he doesn't fight you. He's just as disappointed as he can muster go, so you finally found it. It took 10 years of decay and a giant fucking vine, but you finally found it.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds about right.
So, and then, I mean, we kind of toyed with the idea of Oracle herself being a playable character before, but I think it would be interesting, like, even if she wasn't playable, if you could visit Oracle in the GCPD as various characters and they'd have their own dialogue.
Yeah. Or, like, since we have her kind of moving locations throughout the early game, especially, like, first you can visit her up in the Clock Tower or Belfry or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Or then you can visit her in the Batcave before Red Hood shows up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can visit her down at GCPD after you rescue her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just being able to visit characters, and because I feel like that's something that was definitely missing in the game, was being able to interact with these characters just generally. Like, especially, like, I feel like Lucius Fox especially would have some interesting thoughts on situations going down.
Yeah, you talk to him, and he has a grand total of 3 interactions. There are 3 different conversations, and they're all related to the Hush incident.
Yeah. But it's like, I would like to see how Lucius reacts to other developments in the story.
Exactly. And hell, I mean, this is such a weird thing for me to compare it to, but like, the goddamn answering machine in Wayne Tower has more unique interactions than Lucius Fox does. That's criminal.
You're not wrong. You're not.
That is criminal.
Yeah. But it's like, it's so weird because you get this big-ass plant growing out of the botanical gardens and curing everything, and Lucius has nothing to say about it.
You can probably even see the plant from Wayne Tower, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. As far as Lucius is concerned, he's just not fazed by literally anything except Hush.
Exactly. So we could have Lucius have more development there, and with the Nightwing story, he and Lucius are pretty associated, so that could lead to some fun banter.
Oh, yeah.
What else? What? Oh, speaking of different conversations and interactions that are pretty well expanded just by having Batman themselves, but imagine if you have other characters doing this. 4 letters. 4 letters in a word. GCPD lockup. Imagine
Harley just walking through GCPD lockup.
And everybody's like, what are you doing here? And everybody's wondering like how she's not even being arrested or whatever. And when you go talk to Oracle, Babs is just like, thanks for making sure these guys don't arrest me. And then Babs just like super stone-faced and stoic is like, break anything in this building, Harley, and that deal is off.
Yeah. God. Although I feel like now that we're like having her be able to free roam and go to these locations, she realistically should be able to. I feel like there almost has to be a story explanation for why she's now just being all buddy-buddy with everyone beyond the Gotham City Sirens expansion.
Well, buddy-buddy is relative, and in Arkham City, there are a couple of locations where free roaming as Catwoman you do not enter. You cannot physically enter. And the one that I remember the most is Zaz's hideout. Catwoman does not enter Zaz's hideout if you try to enter it. She just knocks on the door and puts her ear to the window and just says, Zaz is in there. That dude creeps me out. I'm not going in there. Effectively. So, what would be funny, a little bit of a shot in the knee, but it would be funny, is if you bring Harley to GCPD and you try to have her enter GCPD and she'd just be like, what are you, crazy? There's a bunch of cops in there.
I mean, that's fun and all, but I do like the idea of her just being able to enter and then just, for reasons unexplained, she just doesn't get arrested.
You know what would be really funny? Or a fun way to kind of explore that? What if, like at the very end of the game, everything's fully exposed and whatever, or everything's fully exposed and everything's going down, and Harley, of all people, kind of realizes something of what Joker said in Arkham City as her reason for doing this, where it's like, nobody's ever who you think they are, dear. Why spoil the fun? So Harley realizes, now that she knows who Batman is, it's not fun, so she starts spreading misinformation around Gotham. And then, as a favor, Oracle's like, okay, if you can help me spread some misinformation, try and do damage control, I'll let you into GCPD and not get your ass arrested.
I mean, perhaps. But also, I feel like it's something we didn't really touch on. If Scarecrow is no longer the main villain, we don't really have that unmasking scene because I don't think Jason Todd would care about unmasking Batman.
Indeed, unless Batman gets unmasked in the second act.
Maybe, but again, I don't feel like that would really accomplish much because, I mean, yeah, it adds some finality of everything. Everyone knows Batman is Bruce Wayne. Spoiler alert. If you didn't know that, then what the hell are you doing here?
An 84-year-old spoiler alert.
Yeah, Batman is Bruce Wayne. Bet you didn't see that one coming.
Indeed.
But yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't think he would care. Maybe that's the thing. It's like it is a big part of the story. It's one that I respect for happening, but it's like, if Red Hood is the main villain, if Jason Todd is the main villain, and Scarecrow gets arrested in the second act, then does that unmasking still happen? Because I don't think so, because, again, Jason Todd wouldn't care about that.
He would just want Bruce Wayne dead, right?
Yeah.
Wait. What if Calculator is listening in on a conversation, hears Jason call him Bruce, and Calculator is the one who's leaking the information?
That's interesting.
Because, yeah, Scarecrow's not the one unmasking Batman, but we have the Calculator as a relatively important part of the story and a major side mission. And it would give us an avenue to it would give us an avenue to when to introduce that story mission and some of the dialogue that could happen afterwards. Like, if you take out Batman immediately, or if you take out Calculator immediately after he leaks that information, like the story mission pops up, and or the side mission pops up, and you have to go stop Calculator because Calculator has shown his presence. And and you go and stop Calculator very early on. He could even have a conversation as he's being driven into the Batmobile, or driven into GCPD, being like, well, you should respond to leaks fast. Or if it's after a certain amount of time, he just goes, well, now you've just let your secret identity swirl down the toilet. How's that make you feel?
Yeah. Well, I mean, knowing Noah and his whole shtick, he probably wouldn't immediately just start telling everyone, oh yeah, this is who Batman is. He tried to sell the information.
That would give you enough time to potentially stop him before it gets too far, right?
Yeah, like Babs is monitoring the quote-unquote auction over Batman's secret identity.
Exactly. And from there, that would also, and that could even be Oracle being like, hey, Batman, Calculator's in town, and this is bad. He has access to your secret identity now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that would be a pretty sweet way to deal with that, I think. That solves two problems at once. One, how do you keep the reveal being a major part of the story, and how do you do it without Scarecrow?
Yeah.
And thirdly,
Harley's misinformation.
And thirdly, implementing Harley's misinformation campaign.
Yeah. Like, that doesn't matter, because after you beat the main game, you get all those thugs saying, oh, you made a big mistake, Wayne.
Yeah. Oh no, he's coming for us in the Wayne-mobile!
Yeah. And now I can just imagine with Harley's misinformation, you just get random non-sequiturs like, we know it's you, Abe! Mr. Lincoln.
Lincoln Jr.? No, he's Wayne. Who gives a damn? It's Batman! Kill him! Yeah, that would totally...
Wait, back from the dead.
Yup, that would totally... And there you go. And then you could even... With those non-sequiturs, you could totally be funny as hell, and then just have little references. We're gonna kick your ass, Conroy! Or sit down and shut up, Bob Kane. You're gonna die. Or, oh, I thought of something really funny. You better stop praying, Christian Bale.
That's honestly perfect. What the hell's Christian Bale doing in Gotham City?
And he's Batman? What? Oh, and you know, be even more hilarious? If the chances for certain banters go up with specific costumes you're wearing. So if you wear the Dark Knight costume, you get a higher chance of being called Christian Bale.
That'd be amazing. Adam West, what are you doing here?
Yup.
God.
Just that fun little...
But now I can just imagine Harley visiting Calculator in GCPD lockup.
Yep. And then the conversation they would have.
God.
It's like, seems like your little plan backfired. I can't believe that a script kiddie troll managed to beat me at my own game.
Or, have fun with your little misinformation campaign, Mrs. Jones.
Wait, Mrs. Jones?
Yeah, as in Alex Jones.
Oh, I see. Good. Who else?
Or like, even as another just as a random reference, just like, I knew I should have sold that information to Leslie.
And that would also sell because there's a ton of references to the outside DC universe at large.
Yeah,
And
LexCorp.
Lex Luthor calls Batman.
Yeah.
At one point, there's Ocean Master Sushi is a thing.
Yeah.
So that would just fit in and help expand the lore just a little bit more and be like, okay, that's cute. But speaking of, did you know that there was originally a rumor that Superman was going to show up in Arkham Knight?
I did not.
And do you want to know what? Do you want to know what started this rumor?
What started it?
A fucking lens flare in a trailer. No kidding. There was a red lens flare that goes by as Batman's diving down, and people mistook that for like a red streak of light and mistook that for Superman.
Red streak of light? That sounds more like Flash.
In the sky.
Well, I mean, Flash can jump.
Still, they mistook that for Superman. I'm like, wouldn't that have been cool for Superman to show up? But then it leads to the obvious catch-22 of, well, if Superman showed up, he could just solve Batman's problem for him.
Oh, kind of. I mean, he still has Joker in his brain.
Well, yeah, but he could at least take care of the militia. Superman shows up and the militia's just like, fuck this, I'm out!
Yeah, they just all collectively drop their guns and just back away. Like, no, dealing with this.
I mean, why would you want to deal with that? That's fucking Superman!
Yeah.
So, which then leads me to another question, query, whatever. The game very nicely and tidily invented a reason why the Birds of Prey are not in Gotham lending a hand. They're on the mainland helping people.
Yeah.
Would that be reason enough to keep the Justice League out, or should we have another reason?
Well, I mean, there is always the blanket reason of Batman is territorial and doesn't like other heroes in Gotham.
True, but you would think that was something as big as a military invasion in Gotham, somebody would at least try and call in.
I mean, maybe. This is always just the problem of having multiple superheroes in one universe. It's like, well, why don't they always just show up to help each other? It's like, well, maybe they're dealing with their own shit.
True. Sometimes you don't need that explanation. Sometimes it's just like, hey, this is something only Batman can do right now.
Yeah. Like, maybe Superman's off-world. Maybe Wonder Woman's dealing with her own shit in frickin' Themyscira. Maybe Aquaman's having to deal with his frickin' half-brother.
Or having to dispel certain rumors that a certain fishbowl head-wearing mercenary is spreading.
Yeah.
But in any event, yeah. So that's one of those things that doesn't necessarily need an explanation, but it's just something that just crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So back to some of the other expansion stuff. You know what would be really funny to see happen? What if Red Hood was talking to his militia goons? Like, they show up and they all just, like, stand at attention and are like, oh, we're so screwed.
My God. Just imagine doing the militia challenges as Red Hood.
Yes, like, why is the boss coming after us? We must have done something terribly wrong. Stay alert.
Or he just, like, every time open combat starts with the militia, he's like, alright, training time.
Yep. And this time, no rubber bullets.
God.
Oh, you know what would... Okay. And here's another little piece of story expansion that we can do. And I think this could be done partially through how we've been implementing the expansion and going to other locations and such. What if you unlock those locations for free roam by playing through the game? So you would unlock the Batcave or Batcave Prime by doing the nabbing Oracle mission. You would unlock Wayne Manor in a mission where Batman is like seriously worn down and needs advice from Alfred. So he goes to the manor and just goes on a tour of the manor while talking things through with him.
Maybe. Although I do also like the idea that you have Batcave Prime and the manor off-rip just to be able to go to.
That's fair. Or very, very early on.
Yeah.
Like when the game kind of gives you an option to be like, okay, you can go do these things. You can also access Batcave Prime and that.
Yeah. And go to the Wayne Manor. And then there's obviously those missions that allow you to fully explore them at a nice slow pace.
Yeah, I like the idea of like the like walking mission where Bruce is like it's clear that Bruce is being worn down maybe even by the time he's done with Scarecrow and Arkham Knight's still running around. He's just like, I need to go home for a little bit. And then we cut to him out of the suit in Wayne Manor talking to Alfred as he's doing his duties throughout the manor after getting beat up on them, and he's like, and he just opens up. He's just like, Oracle's been taken. Oracle's been taken. I'm not able to do this alone, but I don't trust anybody else to do this because I'm afraid of what will happen when he runs out. What do I do? And then you get advice from Alfred.
Yeah.
You know, make Alfred integral to the story while you're exploring Wayne Manor. That seems like a win-win to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty good moment, and probably one that should have been in the game, but it is what it is. In terms of other story expansions, I don't want to just say make the story longer because that's such a blanket statement. It doesn't actually help anything, but I feel like just giving the events of the story more room to breathe would probably be good.
More, you know, like a couple more quote-unquote breaks where you can go do side missions before the next major story mission comes in, which is one thing I really liked about both of the Spider-Man games, is that there's a few times where it's like, okay, I've got some time to kill. I'm going to go swing around the city and do stuff.
Yeah,
and after...
I feel like I've been trying to avoid referencing Spider-Man because it's a very Arkham formula game, but I feel done very well.
Yeah, and obviously there are improvements that were made that maybe that the guys at Rocksteady maybe didn't even think about or didn't have time to implement because Insomniac had more time to develop their game and such. But those sorts of, it's hard not to make that comparison, and arguably I think they should be made. You know, if we're gonna
But I was just trying to avoid making them for the sake of fairness, because obviously Spider-Man came out years down the road.
Yeah, that's very true. But taking that sort of idea of just having more room to breathe, right? Like, I can't imagine Spider-Man was the first game to do that.
Yeah.
So...
Like, as much as it would probably sound weird to do this, but I feel like after Oracle gets taken, that should be a moment where there's, like, uncomfortable downtime.
Yeah, it's like, there's no missions coming in, no information going on. So Batman, you as the character, as Batman, you have to obsess over a case for a little bit. And by obsess over a case, I think that would literally mean you have to finish a side quest. Or if you have a side quest that is over halfway done, you have to finish 2.
Yeah.
You know, that really long, awkward stretch where the story is not going anywhere. You're just doing these side missions. It's like, and maybe that might make players a little bit mad, but at the same time, it's like, it is to enforce how bad the situation's gotten. Your chief info broker is gone. You can't...
Yeah. That's kind of it's an uncomfortable, infuriating lull, but it's uncomfortable and infuriating for the character, too.
Yeah, and terrifying, because you're not totally sure what this guy's going to do to Oracle at this point in time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Arkham Knight is giving her margaritas and having seaside chats. I don't know. maybe not that chummy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's just giving her a nice, comfortable place to stay.
Yeah, I mean, comfortable might be a bit of a stretch since she just got her ass kidnapped, but
comfortable for a kidnapping. Let's go with that.
Exactly. It's like, he doesn't want her... He has no beef with Oracle. He doesn't want her dead. He wants Batman dead.
Yeah.
So that's that kind of situation. And I do like in the tapes where it's real, especially the last tape where Oracle and Jason are talking. It's like, yeah, stuff like that. That'd be sweet to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of like that. And then after you do the 2 side missions and you're done, you grapple them away to your next thing, and then Batman's just like gets a poorly timed visit from Joker, and Joker's just like, so we are not going to go after Barbara then? And he just lashes out, and we think we hit Joker, but we just hit some random thug, and we hit him hard enough that like Batman's scared that he accidentally killed him, and that's when he goes back to Wayne Manor.
Yeah. Just as like a little visual representation, he hits the guy so hard that the wall behind him cracks a bit.
Yeah, just like when BVS Batman throws that one dude into a wall.
Yeah. I mean, say what you will about that movie. That movie made a very brutal Batman.
Yes, it did. For better and for worse. Especially and for worse. But, that 4-minute warehouse scene is the best scene of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I stand by
But,
it. Nonetheless, yeah, that's how we kind of get into the Wayne Manor, to kind of have that story, heartfelt thing with Alfred that helps steal his resolve.
Probably not then, because that's meant to be, like, later on, after Scarecrow's been ousted.
Right, and then Scarecrow's not outed until, a few missions after Babs is taken.
Yeah. And so I feel like, besides, I feel like Bruce would be too mission-focused to go back to the manor by that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe after the long uncomfortable lull, either he has an epiphany or someone calls him with a little bit of information.
Yeah, or like it could even be Dick. Like he notices that Batman hasn't said anything in a while, and he's like, or Babs hasn't said anything in a while. It's like, is Babs okay? And then he gets the situation as and then that's where Nightwing is like, hey, I might have a lead on where Scarecrow is. Meet me at this building. We'll take him out. And then maybe that starts the 5-6 mission thing for the second act, where we take out Scarecrow.
Yeah.
But when Scarecrow goes down, and Dick's like, hey, we got the guy off the streets before he could gas Gotham. And Batman's just like, yeah, we did. Just super half-hearted and demoralizing. And then when Dick's like, are you okay? Bruce just goes, I think I'm going to go see Alfred. And that's when we get the transition to the manor.
Absolutely.
So that's a really cool kind of expansion of the story, where we get more heartfelt moments with Batman, because and to go back to Arkham Origins, we do kind of have something like that, but it's pretty quick. But this we should allow to stew.
Yeah.
It's a 10-minute thing where you're in the manor doing the thing and stewing and kind of building your resolve back up. And maybe this is also the point where we start seeing more of the Bat family getting involved, because Bruce realizes he can't do this alone. He needs help.
Yeah. Also, are we going to keep the whole bit of Bruce locking Tim in the cell?
Okay, well, Bruce locks Tim in the cell because he doesn't want him to get hurt while he's going after Scarecrow, right?
Yeah.
And that's partially an instigation of the Joker hallucination.
Yeah.
So perhaps things start off okay. The team missions are going relatively well, but then things start going awry as Batman kind of loses control again. We get Joker Batman beating the crap out of Tim and throwing him in a cell, and Tim's like, "What the hell, man?" And then Bruce reverts back and realizes what he's done. Kind of as a wow, yeah, things are really starting to get bad. And Tim, he doesn't necessarily forgive Batman, but he's just like, dude, it's very obvious that that things are progressing really badly for you. You should hang up the cowl now before you kill someone.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like nobody except Bruce and probably Alfred know that Batman's dealing with the Joker hallucinations.
So what if this is the first time that the Bat family finds out?
Yeah, that's perfect. They're all gathered, they're working on their strategy, and then
they're working on strategy to save Oracle.
Joker decides to pop in with a very poorly timed hallucination.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to save Oracle, but then all of a sudden Bruce starts acting funny, and then his two sons are like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then it becomes kind of a boss fight where Joker, as Batman, is beating up Dick and Tim.
Yeah, and I feel like in that moment you should be playing as Batman. And during the course of the boss fight, you're fighting two Jokers.
Yeah.
But periodic boss fight, they shift back into Tim and Dick.
Exactly. And then by the time you're done and the thing has gone away, that's when he realizes what he's done, and it's a massive breakdown for him. And all he can hear is laughter as, Dick and Tim are hurling obscenities at him, but all he can hear is laughter.
Yeah. And then when it's finished, it all comes clean, and it's now known why Batman's so fixated on the Joker-infected people.
Yeah, and I think it should be Dick that's kind of settles the situation down, because he's an angry boy, but him being angry is justifiable. But he's also a detective. He notices that Batman's eyes have changed color.
Yeah,
and
Tim is the smartest Robin? ? Probably.
Who, Dick?
No, Tim.
Tim's claim to fame is that he was able to suss out who Batman and Robin were, but he's never been really seen as the quote-unquote smartest Robin. He was always almost kind of the gearhead Robin in the 90s, because, he built a jet engine-powered skateboard.
Fair. I just always associated it with him being the smartest. It's just an association. He was able to figure out who Batman is, and Bane's called the smartest Batman villain because he did the same thing. So
to translate the property, I see that it's a pretty common thing to keep in mind. But generally speaking, it's considered within some comic communities that Dick is actually the smartest Robin.
Yeah.
And he's definitely the natural leader because, he created and led multiple forms of the Titans. And he was Batman for a while, so...
Yeah. So I think, and plus he's known Bruce the longest, so him sussing out the reason of what's happening is very reasonable.
Or at the very least get to the point where it's hey, something's wrong with him. He's literally sick. And then that's when Tim's is that why he's had me researching on that? And then that's when Batman comes clean and is yeah, I'm the 5th Joker infected.
Yeah.
Which, of course, leads to Alfred chewing him the fuck out, but that's standard Alfred behavior.
The idea that Alfred's known the entire time, even if Bruce didn't tell him, because, come on, it's Alfred.
Oh, yeah, it's so Alfred's just I was wondering when you were going to bring that up.
So it'd come up.
Exactly. Oh, just to go back to playable characters for just a moment, I had 2 ideas.
Alfred?
Well, Alfred's one of them. And then the second one is maybe not a playable character so much as a playable premier skin type idea, and I hate to give this guy more skins, but Batman when he's fully Jokerized.
Yeah, that's something I 100% agree on. We need a Jokerized Batman skin and a drivable Jokermobile.
And with both of those, when you put them on, you do not hold back.
Yeah.
And then yeah, just we'll figure out how to do Alfred playable later. But come on, playable Alfred would be the best.
Yeah. You get him beating the game.
Yes, that would be sweet. Anywho, picturing. So that's kind of the second arc sort of thing where things really start to shift gears towards Red Hood and, finding Babs and all that important stuff. Shall we go back to Act 1 or shall we go forward to Act 3?
I feel Act 1 can largely stay the same, obviously just stretching out a bit, shifting some things, but by and all, it's probably going to be a lot of the same, because it's the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow section.
Yeah.
And Act 2 is more of the Scarecrow section. Act 3 is the full-on Arkham Knight under the Red Hood section.
Right.
So I feel we can just go to Act 3. I feel we've kind of done a good job of talking about what we'd shift in Act 1.
Yeah.
Unless there was more we wanted to say about it.
Well, there's not much to change, so we could probably, whatever we would change, we could probably cover relatively quickly.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we well established that one of the things we changed is that a greater stretch of time with Oracle before she gets kidnapped and her being moved to different locations.
Yeah, and And I would change some of her dialogue so that she doesn't come off as much like as making too many mistakes. You know, like the things that she's doing work.
Yeah. I feel like with making the Arkham Knight more of the main focus and him being smart as opposed to her being dumb.
Exactly. That's the idea.
It's just a shifting of the lens.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the things that she's doing that are quote-unquote mistakes would probably be more easily read as, the Arkham Knight's just this smart.
Literally, she's like, okay, this is probably a guy with military experience. I could probably follow him on standard military frequencies. Nope. He has his own frequency system that is encrypted. So it's like, so she finds the system, but it's like, man, I had to do some serious digging, and it's encrypted. Give me a little bit, and I might be able to get you into their communications, sort of thing.
And of course, like one of the only hackers that can remotely keep up with her is Calculator, and he's got him on his side.
Exactly, and like pretty early on, it should be determined that like, okay, no wonder it's so encrypted. I'm pretty sure Calculator is involved. Great, you know what I mean?
An old friend of mine, Noah Cutler.
Yep.
Heavy emphasis on the quotes around friend.
Yeah, an old friend of mine. So Act 1 can stay like that. Act 2 kind of works through the way. When do we have Oracle getting grabbed? Middle of Act 2?
I think more towards the end of Act 1.
Okay, so it's the thing that starts Act 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So like Act 1, everything's kind of going according to plan, and you know, after one attempted siege to take Oracle, it's like, we should probably move you to the Batcave, or to the main Batcave. It's like, good idea. Or it's like, great idea, Burrs. Let's do that, sort of thing. And then we'd have the personal taking.
Yeah.
And I think what would be really cool for the personal taking is if Arkham Knight shows up, and it's like a 3 counter sequence where you counter Babs trying to fight you, and you just kind of get away. And then the part of the reason why he's able to get Babs to come with is he reveals who he is. It's like, you get to see that it's Jason Todd, and in a nice bit of dramatic irony, Batman does not figure this out for a while.
Maybe. Though, given you're playing from the perspective of Batman for the entire story, I feel like that would be a little eh.
Okay. So
I feel like the biggest difference is that would work in a movie more so because, well, you're the audience watching from a very third-party perspective, unless it's like a very focused-in movie. But in a game, you're literally taking the reins as the main character. You know what the main character knows. So I feel like we can know that Babs knows who the Arkham Knight is, but we don't get to know who it is.
Oh, I see. So he takes the mask off. It's behind him, and Babs is just like, "Wait, you?" And then he's like, "Yep, click, it's me." And then that's when she realizes both. No wonder this guy has it out for Batman, and also realizes that she's not actually in any real danger. Like, she can believe what he's saying for the most part.
Yeah.
But Jason's still like, step away from the computer, come with me, you won't get hurt. And then part of what helps seal that deal, like, because she's just still like, I mean, you just unmasked in front of me, but I don't know if this is some sort of crazy ploy. We get the Butler Incident.
Yeah.
Which shows that he's willing to hurt his goons for hurting Alfred. And it's like, okay, yeah, Jason's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then
us knowing Babs knows, and that's why she goes with him, is enough. We don't need to know who it is that she knows. We just know that she knows.
Yeah, that she knows, and more importantly, that she knows that she can trust this guy. Because she knows Noah Cutler. That doesn't mean that she's going to go with him peaceably, you know?
Yeah, no.
Whereas if it's somebody that she's willing to come with peaceably, then that leads into the hint of, wait a minute. This is somebody that she knows and trusts.
Yeah.
we could even then throw in some light red herrings in order to throw people off the curve. Like, if Oracle went quietly, then it's somebody that she knows either from the Bat family or beyond. And I can think of a couple of male characters that would kind of fit Arkham Knight's ethos, and that would be Savant and Creote.
Could do. I mean, my mind went to Jason Bard, but they work too.
Well, Jason Bard is a Gotham cop. He's not anything special, but Savant is a supervillain that took the entire Birds of Prey to stop, and he's like a master blackmailer and stuff. And then he joins the Birds of Prey alongside Creote.
Yeah.
So those two would probably be the better, like, red herrings to throw.
Can do.
Because as much as, like, Jason Bard would be a cute reference, Jason Bard's just a cop.
True.
But yeah, that one.
Not the smartest individual, so not really capable of running a military operation.
Yeah, no. So, whereas Savant and Creote, at least they would have some way of trying to do that.
I mean, heck, reference Oracle's days when she was part of the Squad by referencing Waller.
Oh, like the Arkham Knight's an agent of Waller's. That could work.
Yeah.
Right? Like those little red herrings that maybe the Arkham Knight's actually connected to Oracle more so than Batman, just to, throw people off the scent a little bit, but then all of a sudden, surprise, it's Jason Todd!
In this twist, that will surprise literally no one.
It will surprise no one, but at least we tried.
Yeah.
So leading back into that, so that's kind of how we go from Act 1 to Act 2. How do we go from Act 2 to Act 3?
Well, I believe the big ending to Act 3 should be the reveal of Batman dealing with the Joker.
Okay.
Like the reveal that he's the last Joker patient.
Yeah, and that he needs to be cured now, if there's some way to do that.
Yeah. And as for how Act 3 starts and how we get from there to the final battle with the Arkham Knight and the badass scene of Batman taking the piss out of a hallucination Joker.
Yeah.
That is, I don't know. Because that's probably the biggest change, because there's no Scarecrow in this third act.
Indeed not. But, okay, if we were going... So from Act 2, I think the whole of Act 2 is Batman alone.
Yes.
That's the whole thing, is that this should be where Batman feels at his most alone in the whole game. He's fighting all these guys by himself. Like, maybe you could even see it in some of the animations for his movements. He's uncomfortable about the whole thing. And maybe this is where the Joker hallucinations come out at speed. Like they instead of showing up every 10-15 minutes, they show up every 5.
Yeah.
Because there's weakness there. Joker can now kind of start climbing up. And then... Yeah. And then...
Also, this is a little added thing. This is both a gameplay and a story thing. I feel like up until that badass scene where Batman essentially cures himself through sheer willpower, I feel like we should be able to see Joker in free roam.
Like what? Just
like chilling out on top of a wrecked car, or just like chilling up.
Oh, I see more. More than he already does when you find him during his random conversations.
Yeah, well, just like you're moving through Gotham, you can just see the Joker just randomly chilling places.
Yeah, not even talking, he's just there.
Yeah.
I dig that. And I think all of Act 2 could just be Batman doing something, anything, to suss things out on his own. Following clues that he's got, and while he's a great detective, none of his tips pan out.
Yeah, and then trying to deal with Scarecrow before he gasses the entire city.
Exactly. And then I think the start from Act 2 to Act 3 should be the Wayne Manor conversation.
Oh. Because I feel like... I don't know. I feel like because Act 3 is when you're starting to get your... Not necessarily rising action, because rising action is the start, but like the turning of the tide, where things are maybe going more in favor for the heroes.
Right.
And I feel like starting with that, putting at ease conversation, I feel like that'd be more of a midpoint of Act 2.
Okay.
Or something to that effect. And
like Batman's at his lowest point, and then that talk starts to bottom out and then bring things back up just a touch. But things really start going at the start of Act 3.
Yeah. And I feel like before things start going back up on Act 3, it is probably smart to rocket them right back down. Like they're finally getting some good footing, and then the reveal. And the reveal that Batman's infected.
Okay.
So, and then... And it's like, and I feel like, because if we end Act 2 on the note, like, okay, he's finally going to start bringing Robin and Nightwing in to help him, and then, right when they're starting to get good footing, they're putting a plan together to deal with the Arkham Knight, boom, the reveal that he's infected, well, it's like, well, now he's back to being alone.
Yes, indeed. So, that would be probably the best way to handle that, would be, boom, Batman's in jail now.
You're hanged.
Yeah.
Steps on hangers.
Or he tries to lock up both his kids or something.
Yeah, like they're in a bit where he's driven mad. Like it could even be one of those things where it's like Kevin Conroy starts talking as Joker for a little bit, but then when you're actually playing as Joker Batman, it's Mark Hamill talking.
Yeah.
And then it could even be arguments back and forth between Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
Absolutely. But to kind of bring the record around, like, how does that scene where the reveal comes out end? What happens with our triastic trio?
With this triumphant trio of Robin and Nightwing?
Robin, Nightwing, and Batman, yeah.
Well, let's think. Because one way we could do it is that once everybody gets locked up and everybody is revealed, I think what should happen is that while that reveal has happened, Joker seizes the opportunity and says, well, the game's out, I'm back in town! And he takes over, and then this is partially inspired from the Birds of Prey Brainiac arc, where Babs is infected by Brainiac. And right when Babs is about to get turned into a techno-organic body horror nightmare, Dinah shows up with a bunch of stuff to help recenter Barbara's eidetic compass so that she can fight off Brainiac. So what if something like that happens but for Batman?
Maybe, I don't know.
Where like Robin and Nightwing break out, and then they have to figure out how to get Batman back on the home team. So they start so they start looking for associates that have helped them before. Like they start looking for Catwoman.
Could do. Although I don't want to lose out on the Joker Batman Rampage sequence, because I do feel like that is a very cool part of the game.
Yeah, let me double check. Which one was that?
It's like later on in the game, but it's when we get those, like, I guess brain flashes of a totally Joker-possessed Batman.
Oh, yeah.
He's killing all the other rogues, like Two-Face.
Oh,
Black
yeah,
Knight,
when it's like, okay, yeah, where the Joker mobile shows up and all that.
Yeah.
So I think we can keep that as like Joker's final push. Like he thought he had Batman in control, but his allies managed to pull him back. So Joker, I can imagine, actually goes quiet for a little bit. But this isn't quiet like, oh, he's given up. This is quiet like, this is the planner. This is the craze. This is thinking Joker, the scariest of them all.
Yeah.
So then by that final point, when things are finally going with the Arkham Knight, they're finally taking him on, and cue Joker taking over again. And this time we're inside of Batman's mind. And then the Joker sequence kicks in.
Yeah. And then it caps off with Batman willpowering himself through it.
Willpowering himself through it and effectively locking Joker away.
Yeah. Because that is probably one of my favorite sequences in Arkham Knight, is when Batman takes back over his own mind and scares hallucination Joker.
Exactly. And while that is, he was able to do that with the fear gas and the Scarecrow thing, I think what should happen is that the fear gas is still a part of it, but it's Arkham Knight using it. Like, there's some leftover fear toxin, and Arkham Knight uses it to, because he believes that failing his family was Batman's greatest fear, so he wants him to relive that moment where he lost Jason Todd. That was his intention with the fear gas before he kills him, but something completely unexpected happens.
Well, I don't know, because during that moment, it's like, because the entire idea is that Joker has taken over again.
True.
So, I don't know.
Well,
it is tough to balance the Arkham Knight story with the Red Hood story with the Batman possessed story.
Indeed.
That does lead me to something, because if Todd believes Batman is possessed by the Joker, he could probably just take it as, great, now I get to kill both of you at once.
Exactly. And then I think what would be really cool is that you have this whole sequence going down. It is like it's technically a 3-stage boss fight, where it's Batman versus Red Hood, then it's Joker Batman versus Red Hood, and then it's Joker versus Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I can even picture, you know what? You know how I can even picture this happening? I can picture it happening where he realizes what's going on, he takes out Batman Joker, and then Jokerized Batman. And then Jason Todd goes, okay, you know what? It's time for me to send a message. I'm going to drag your sorry ass up to the top of Wayne Tower, and I'm going to drop you from it, killing you both. And then that would give you enough time, that would rationally explain why there's enough time for that whole sequence to happen, and Batman wakes up mid-fall.
Maybe. Real quick, because I was still trying to figure out how to end that scene with the trio, and after Joker Batman has just put the beat down on both of them.
Right.
And the way I figure, it's not the cleanest way to wrap it up, but I feel like it's probably the best and doesn't really slow the pace down any, is that Batman agrees that after they're done with the Arkham Knight, he agrees to just let himself be locked up until such time they can either treat him or prove that treatment is impossible.
Okay.
Like, it's like, let him just use what remaining willpower and time he has left to help them deal with this. And then yada yada yada. Like, that entire time, Joker is just letting himself stew and plan.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because it would also, he could also, like, Joker won't be down for long. We need to take this time to take out the Arkham Knight now, and when that happens, then you can lock me up.
Yeah. And then it's during the third act we get Deathstroke, because I feel like he should be a third act guy when it's more focused on the Arkham Knight.
Yep. Like, maybe the Arkham Knight is taking the Batman mission too personally, and Slade's like, then I'll lead your army.
Yeah. And then we get the dismantling of the Arkham Knight's operations, we get the rescue of Oracle, and then a final confrontation with the Arkham Knight / Red Hood. Yep. Whereabout should the reveal of who the Red Hood is come in?
Okay. I think that when you go to rescue Oracle, I think it should be a situation where, like, I kind of like the replace Scarecrow with Jason Todd, and Arkham Knight keeping up the facade makes him choose. Makes him choose between Barbara and Bruce, and then Gordon shoots Bruce.
Yeah.
But because Gordon shoots Bruce, oh no, wait, then okay, wait, that doesn't really work, because how the hell would Batman hear this? Because it gets to the point where Gordon actually shoots Bruce. Oh no, wait, better idea. He shoots Jason. He shoots Jason, and Jason loses control and goes to try and shoot Gordon, and then that's when Babs goes, Jason, no! and then everybody's floored.
Maybe. I do feel like the reveal should come from the Arkham Knight himself.
Yeah.
Because for example, if we take this idea, if you take this mission, and put it from the perspective of the Red Hood, put it from the perspective of Jason Todd, this is his initial plan to kill Batman. This is his initial final stage against that, and it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
So I think during this time, he would be kind of doing the villain thing of kind of monologuing, but in a way that's not stupid and giving Batman a chance to beat him.
Yeah. No, he's got his gun up, knowing where the weak spot is, and he's got control of the situation.
Or it's just like as Batman's working his way through the area, it's like he's on the intercom, just sort of like leaving him little breadcrumbs to help figure it out.
Yeah, I can see that, and it's like, and once you get to the top, and I think what would be really cool would be like you get to the top, and then Jason's like, "So you finally made it, great. So, who do you think I am?" And you get 3 options. Just for the sake of this, I'm gonna go. These aren't like final names at all, but just for the sake of it, we go Savant, Creout, Warden, Sharp.
Maybe.
Well, the idea is that you would get your choices based off of what you think has been going on, and then you make the choices, and it's like wrong, guess again, wrong, guess again. It's like you really are that stupid, aren't you? And then he takes his hood off.
Maybe. Although I feel like a reveal without the hood being taken off is maybe more impactful. Or maybe Bruce being able to figure it out. I don't know. Although I do feel like for flavor, one of the options to choose who it is should be Deadshot.
Okay.
Like just somehow survived.
Okay. Yeah, we could maybe roll with that.
And Arkham Knight's response to that is wrong dead guy.
Wrong dead guy. Guess again. Well, actually, why don't we can lean into a little bit from Sly 3, which sounds weird, but let me explain. In Sly 3, there are various points in a game where you get to make choices based off of your answer. You'll always eventually get to the right one to progress through the story because it's a kid's game. But
yeah.
But like for instance, very early on, there's an encounter with Dimitri, and you have to talk Dimitri into telling you where Murray is. So you have a few different options and a couple of sequences in order to get there. So maybe something like that, where you just keep making guesses and eventually it'll be Jason Todd.
Maybe. And I feel like those...
Because I like player choice.
Yeah. Again, I do feel like in the end it should be Batman coming to the conclusion. And maybe he comes to the conclusion when he's actually face-to-face with the Arkham Knight, or face-to-quote-unquote face.
Yeah. And then, hell, maybe we can even have the choose your potential guesses thing by having him actually say something and then intercom Jason responds.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the surface, it's like, okay, old man, stop dancing around it. Either you really have no clue who I am, or I'm better than you. One last chance.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Or it's like he tries to get the drop on him, and it's like... Because I can imagine it's like the lead up to the boss fight with the Arkham Knight is Batman's creeping around doing his like Predator challenge thing, where he's just sneaking around looking for an opening, and when he thinks he's got it, he glides down, trying to get the jump on the Arkham Knight, who just swiftly turns around, shoots him in the gap in the armor.
Yep. And I think we can take a little bit from the from the Arkham Knight boss fight, which is effectively a supercharged Predator challenge.
Yeah.
And that would be the first phase.
Yeah. And then we get the scene of Arkham Knight kind of, gloating, kind of, like, just playing it up. And then Bruce can say, "That's enough, Jason." And
then Jason stops and is like, "You finally figured it out."
Yeah.
Or
something like that.
Yeah, and I quite like that. So we are officially over the 2-hour limit. Is there anything else you want to very quickly touch on?
just real quick, because I feel like we can go more into the finale itself, because after this, we get the smashed up Arkham Knight visor, which becomes the Red Hood visor, and then leads us to a final boss fight with Red Hood.
Yeah.
Which is what leads to him dragging the Jokerized Bruce up to the top of Wayne Tower, throwing him off, yada yada yada.
Exactly, but we don't see the dragging off happen beyond the initial bit. We actually go into Bruce's mind and Joker taking over and stuff.
Yeah. Although, just to kind of redo that, I feel like it should still be 3 phases, but the 3 phases should be different. 3 phases should be Batman plus Robin and Nightwing versus Red Hood, which goes super well for the 3 of them. But then second phase triggers when Jason, detonates something or activates a contingency plan that separates Batman from the other 2. And then we get a one-on-one Batman v Red Hood, or something to that effect. And then Joker comes out, and we don't see the fight. There's presumably a Joker Batman versus Red Hood.
Yep.
Maybe? I don't know. Again, I'm trying to do this again. Or maybe halfway through the second phase, Joker pops out and we get Joker Batman versus Red Hood, where Jason figures it out. I don't know.
I actually like the idea that it becomes like it's almost a sub phase.
Yeah.
Where part two of the fight is in 2 sub phases, and then stage 3 is the nightmare sequence.
Yeah. And then, stage 3 nightmare sequence where Joker and Batman are battling in his mind, and then it ends with Batman getting free, probably just as he's being thrown off.
Yeah. For dramatic affair.
Yeah, Batman comes to just as he's thrown off, probably grapnels right back up, and we get a very quick last phase Batman versus Red Hood.
Yeah. And by the time, when Red Hood is beaten, he looks into Bruce's eyes and is like, he's gone. In reference to the Joker.
Yeah.
And then we have our great big final conclusion, and then you just go doing the rest of the things. Would we keep the Nightfall protocol?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, because the way we currently have it, even with the Batman's identity being a big plot point, it's like, Calculator didn't really get a chance to leak it super effectively, so I don't think that it's really necessary for him to initiate Nightfall and blow himself up.
True enough. So maybe.
So really,
So what's the 100%? So what's the full completion bonus then? If it's not the Nightfall ending.
That is a fantastic question. Because also with the Nightfall ending, it presumes that you blow up the Batcave in Wayne Manor, which means you wouldn't be able to visit those locations anymore in free roam.
Sort of, except you can still play in free roam after you do the Nightfall ending.
Well, no, I mean, but like in the Nightfall ending, Wayne Manor blows up, but if you then go into free roam, in this supposed situation, you probably realistically wouldn't be able to visit those locations and then see Alfred if the Wayne Manor has been blown up.
True enough.
So I think that the 100% ending, maybe not Nightfall, I don't know. Like that's the thing. I don't really know.
I have an idea.
I just don't know.
I have an idea. What if Batman realizes that this was way too close for comfort for him, right? Like, he's been doing this for a really long time, and this is cutting it super close. He's realizing now the importance of he can't be the sole protector of Gotham anymore. So, he calls everybody up. He opens up a party. He opens up a line with Oracle and goes, Oracle, I need everybody here. All of the Gotham vigilantes. I need them in Batcave Prime now. And then we go to the Batcave Prime, and everybody's there. Even Jason, we'll say. So Jason, Selina, Dick, Tim, Babs. We're not going to have Stephanie Brown in here just because Stephanie Brown is going to show up in the Tim Drake thing.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But all the main members of the Bat Family / Gotham vigilantes that are in the Arkham series are there. Hell, maybe we could even get a cameo from Black Canary and Huntress, just for fun, because Babs would probably want to bring them in so that they would know. Anyways, Bruce comes in, and then we get what is effectively his goodbye speech. He's not going to fully retire, mind you, but he's going to be in semi-retirement and / a sabbatical, because he's got to think about how he wants to do things. But he's going to trust Gotham. He's going to do the biggest thing that he could ever do in his mind, which is entrust Gotham with his friends.
Yes.
And then everybody kind of has their counterpoints and talking points and all of that, and eventually it comes to the conclusion, and then Batman goes to leave, and then Dick speaks up. Or Dick or Alfred speaks up and goes, "Hey, you're just going to leave and not give us a hug?" and then Bruce shakes his head and goes, "Might as well." And then comes on down, and it's a happy ending for Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Not something super bittersweet.
Yeah, good happy ending. The hug may be a bit much, but I can agree with a happier ending.
Yeah, or maybe it's not even a hug. It's like, "Hey, you got anything else to say?" Bruce turns around and smiles. "I'm proud of you all." And then that's how it ends.
Yeah, just something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what's really cool about that is that also fully opens up all of the free roaming options for all of those characters, and does so in a reasonable fashion.
Yeah.
So
also, I just one last thought, because we were trying to figure out why everyone's not necessarily good with Harley, but not bad with her when she's out for free roaming.
Begrudging tolerance mostly.
Yeah, tolerance. They tolerate her and tolerate Ivy. And the way I figured, it's because you're still going with the Gotham City Sirens as post-game, so what if Oracle is helping out the Sirens during their little escapades?
Well, she would certainly help Catwoman.
Yeah. She's helping Selina, who is, and by extension, Harley.
Exactly. And then we can even make some sort of random gag where Harley goes, "So you got voices in your head too?" "No, I've got a contact on the outside."
Well, that's not fun.
Exactly. But that will probably do it for the part 3 of the Arkham thing, which was a lot, but worth it.
Yeah.
And
Hashtag give care. Hashtag give Kendra care.
That's the most important change of all time. So, with all of that being said and done and said, yeah, if you want me on one of your videos any other time, or if I can bug you for something else, are your channels still open?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. Is there any quick promotion stuff that you want to do before we go then?
Buy my merch, but I don't have merch, so I don't know. Buy my merch when it comes out. When I have merch, buy it.
Don't you have a YouTube channel?
I do, but I didn't think to plug it, and I'm not going to, because reasons.
We'll call it under development.
Yeah.
Cool.
Under development.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys soon, and don't forget to be awesome. We'll see you guys on the other side.
You